AC Brotherhood is my favorite game of all time. Few journeys in gaming have the scope and emotional weight of Ezio Auditore's, and this chapter in my opinion sits at its heart. The story picks up moments after the climax of Assassin's Creed 2. Monteriggioni burns, Mario Auditore is dead, and Ezio is forced to flee. The war between assassins and Templars has basically spilled out from the shadows and into the streets for the first time in many years. This is a game that sees Ezio at the peak of his abilities, his wisdom, and his power, in my opinion. In Revelations, he might be wiser. In Assassin's Creed 2, he might be more agile, but this represents the optimal, most powerful version of Etzio, and with that comes a lot of lore-accurate gameplay opportunities that Assassin's Creed 2 didn't present. So what we're going to do in this video is basically explore how to play Brotherhood in a lore-accurate way. Like before, the goal isn't to break the game, but to inhabit the character, to feel the weight of his choices, and to embrace the three tenets of the creed. Stay your blade from the flesh of the innocent, hide in plain sight, and never compromise the Brotherhood. We're going to talk about how Ezio's personality shifts throughout the story and how you can adapt your gameplay to reflect that shift, how you can approach combat in a different way that might be a little bit controversial, how you approach stealth, recruitment, which is my favorite mechanic in any video game ever, and how to treat Rome not just as a playground but as a living, breathing Renaissance city. So let's begin with who Etzio is at this point in his life. In 1499, he's nearly 40 years old, which kind of just shows how fucking long Assassin's Creed 2 is in terms of chronological timeline for Etzio. He's nearly 40 in this game, and the brash brawler from Florence has become a mentor. First in an unofficial way, and eventually in a very much official way. He's lost friends, family, and he's also lost the naivety of youth. By the end of Assassin's Creed 2, the sheer need for revenge and the anger that's spilled out of him has basically died down, and even if it flares up at the beginning of Brotherhood through the death of Mario Auditore, which we'll talk about later on, for the most part, in Brotherhood he's a much more calculated, serene man who understands the value of politics, of diplomacy, as much as of stealth. But just because he's calmed down doesn't mean that he's lost any of his charm, because he never will. He's still able to navigate noble courts and thieves' dens with equal grace. What I love about Brotherhood is how Ezio changes from a master assassin to an assassin that trains recruits and is the mastermind of the liberation of Rome. This role, this assumption of leadership, lies at the core of how this playthrough of AC Brotherhood is going to differ from the one in Assassin's Creed 2, which I've already made a video about. Your gameplay should reflect this maturity that he didn't have in Assassin's Creed 2. As I mentioned before, an exception to this could be the earlier sequences where he is more angry and hurt by the loss of Mario, and fighting Cesare Borgia very much resembles how Ezio felt at the beginning of Assassin's Creed 2. But as the narrative progresses, it becomes more measured, strategic, and wise. Before diving into the pillars of gameplay, as many of you know, these videos take more research and resources and time to make since I also edit them myself, which is why I bring on sponsors to help with that production cost and that time investment, and so I can reinvest all that money into bigger and more exciting projects. And today's sponsor that's helping with that is Polybuzz AI. Are you tired of only having parasocial relationships with real people online? Do you wish that you could channel your inner Victor Frankenstein and create your own avatar, an assassin or another fictional character that you can speak to? Well, Polybuzz is an app where you can create a fully custom chatbot character. Over 20 million characters already exist, with more than 40 million downloads worldwide. Whether you want to train your own version of Etzio or a character completely of your own design, you can define how they are, their voice, their personality, their worldview, and then you basically talk to them. It's that simple. You can vent, roleplay, test your ideas, or ask your character what they would do in the middle of a mission. You can reflect on your playthrough of Assassin's Creed or recreate historical moments as if you were really there. The idea is to basically create your own character and have any conversation that you want with them. So if you're interested in that, use my promo code ASSASSIN in the search bar to unlock premium features. Just type it at the top of your home screen and you'll be taken straight to the redemption page. If that doesn't work, make sure you've updated the latest version of your app. The link is in the description and the pinned comment. Download Polybuzz now and start building the companion you always wished existed. Please use AI chatbots responsibly and don't use it if you're a child. Back to Rome. The city of Rome, in my opinion, is the true co-star of Brotherhood. Historically, the Eternal City had fallen into decay under papal corruption, and in-game, it's split into 5 districts. Borgia towers dominate each neighborhood, suppressing commerce and choking the life from the streets. Liberating Rome means climbing these towers, assassinating their captains, and burning the structures to the ground. Each tower you destroy revitalizes nearby shops and opens new missions like recruitment and other side missions. What I love about making a video like this for Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, apart from the fact that it's my favorite game in the world, is that almost all of the activities that you can do in this game are lore accurate and character relevant. Etzio is so focused on uniting, rebuilding, and fortifying the Brotherhood. All the content of this game is built to support that fantasy. If you do the main missions, you're actively pursuing that objective. But if you do the side missions like renovating shops, burning down towers, liberating citizens, it's literally all narratively relevant to Ezio's overall mission, and this speaks a lot to how the game designers really thought about the content of this game. So unlike in other games where side missions are narratively disjointed collectathons or random side missions like fishing, not only can I tell you that it's lore accurate to do all of these side missions through your playthrough, but it is actually more lore accurate to get them done, since they pair so well with the ongoing fight with Cesare Borgia. In these side missions, in these liberation missions, you'll see how citizens speak and fear the Borgia and resent them, and it fits so well with the missions that you do in the main story. Even fast traveling, a mechanic that I usually abhor in movement-based games, is incredibly diegetic and relevant, since Ezio is renovating and using Roman tunnels to move through the city unseen by the Borgia. I promise you, absolutely everything in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood is either relevant to Ezio and his agenda and his priorities, or it's relevant to Desmond and the team in the modern day. So feel free to 100% complete this game. None of it will feel like a waste of time or something that's not lore accurate. A big change from the previous installments is that horses are now allowed in the city when it comes to movement, and that's another thing that Rome has to its advantage. They've been integrated into combat and parkour, so feel free to use them more for mounted assassinations, quick escapes, or leading into some cool flashy parkour sequences, although use that sparingly, since from a lore perspective, maybe a random man flipping around all of Rome could be in violation of the third tenet of the Assassin's Creed. So let's dive into the three core pillars of Assassin's Creed, parkour, stealth, and combat, and see how it might differ a little bit from Assassin's Creed 2, especially when it comes to combat. Let's begin with parkour. Parkour plays the same role that it played for a younger Ezio, though I do recommend using even more efficient movements that leverage Ezio's experience and practice, while still keeping in mind that his body is much older. Brotherhood's movement system refines what started with AC2. Ezio still runs, climbs, free runs with quite a lot of ease, but now Rome's architecture demands vertical ingenuity. The climb leap ability returns, rope lifts make scaling towers quicker, and leaps of faith are dotted around the city. I recommend you use parkour as your default mode of travel. Stalk guards from the rooftops and escape pursuits through the alleyways. Similarly to Assassin's Creed 2, button discipline is essential for immersion. It's going to be essential for the entire of the Ezio trilogy. You want to make sure that you either walk or jog through markets, only sprinting when necessary, so when escaping from a guard, and stick to high-profile actions on the rooftops. Make sure to practice your side and back checks for style, but avoid exploiting the advanced parkour glitches too much, because they make Ezio look more superhuman than human. And even though he's incredibly skilled, he's a 4-year-old man running around the rooftops of Rome, and you might want to keep things a little bit more realistic and grounded to the realm of plausible human athleticism. Now, when it comes to the stealth, in Brotherhood, it builds on Assassin's Creed 2's pillars of line of sight, stealth, and social camouflage, but basically just turbocharges it. This is where I recommend you go craziest with Ezio. The expanded tools and combo opportunities skyrocket in the game, and it perfectly reflects who Ezio is at this point. He's not just a master assassin, but the clear, unofficial, and eventually official leader of the new version of the Assassin Brotherhood. You can charge knives to have them cause more damage, throw smoke bombs, use your ranged weapon, use the hidden gun, poison, hidden blade. There's so many different tools that you can use in your weapon wheel to really feel like Ezio's just like completely mastered all of the facets of being an assassin by the time that he's 40 years old. However, remember that Ezio's objective is liberation, not slaughter. Lethal force should serve a purpose. Early on, rely on yourself mostly, because Ezio is used to working alone, and for the most part he is alone at the beginning of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Use the crowd for cover, bribe heralds to lower your notoriety, and avoid using factions except for emergencies. Rome's thieves, courtesans, and mercenaries must earn his trust, and they must learn to trust Ezio, mirroring the gradual acceptance of the underworld in Assassin's Creed 2 all over again. So as the game progresses, you can weave in these factions more and more into your gameplay. When it comes to stealth, I recommend that you opt for more non-lethal approaches, mainly because from a canon perspective, Ezio didn't really kill that many guards, and he's seen in later moments in the game or in Assassin's Creed Revelations kind of getting upset at assassin recruits that kill guards needlessly. He tries to act very much in accordance with the tenets of never compromising the Brotherhood and staying your blade from the flesh of the innocent, which means that if you're going to use stealth, mainly use it as a way of diverting or slipping non-lethally through an environment and only killing when you really have to, or when someone is being aggressive or obviously morally corrupt. Now, when it comes to combat, this is where it might be a little bit controversial. I'm going to share my thoughts on how you should play combat in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood in a more lore-accurate way, and from there you can decide whether you agree or if you have recommendations on how to do it more lore-accurately. Brotherhood's combat system encourages offense, allowing you to chain kill streaks if you strike first, and creating some insane combos with tool kills that really make everything look flashy and amazing. At the beginning of the game, when Ezio is furious, you can feel free to lean into this. Use the new execution streak to dispatch multiple enemies quickly, and use the tool kills to look flashy doing it and be even more efficient. And as I said, as the game progresses, Ezio will calm down and go back into the more wise assassin that he is by this point in the story, where you can lean more into stealth, non-lethal stealth, and using your recruits if you ever do need to. Now, the problem with the combat system is that it's a bit too easy, and even for what is likely a peak Etzio when it comes to his abilities, it's a smidge too unrealistic. A go-to YouTube channel that I will always recommend for learning how to play these games more in depth, called the Execution Producer, made a number of subtle but impactful changes to how combat feels, basically by self-restricting what he does to create a more grounded and cinematic experience. What I'll do is I'll read the description of the video, and I'll link the video in the description so you can go and watch it yourself and learn from the master himself. I think that enemies in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood are too easy to kill. You can quickly defeat most guards by performing simple stuff: hidden blade counter kill, dodge and combo kill, to kill chain. I would like to share with you some of my suggestions on how to enjoy combat in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood more. Tailor it to your needs, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong or add some advice. I limited Ezio's combat possibilities for balance and based it on a unique to the series method. Taunt disables parry and dodge, enables disarm and stagger, and you can also use additional combat limitations like not kicking or dodging or using any kill chains. I particularly like the idea of not using kill chains because, again, maybe 1 or 2 is acceptable, but the second that you see Ezio chaining 10 kills in a row, you really start thinking if Ezio really did that in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood in the actual canon. Don't use your pistol or your crossbow, nor throwing knives, nor smoke bombs. In addition to this, I would say is that you can use smoke bombs, and if it comes to the escape, throwing a quick smoke when you're surrounded by 20 guards is a good idea because, first of all, it falls with the canon of an assassin using his tools to escape, but it also feels like something that falls in line with what Ezio would do, which is slowly rely more and more on tools in very specific moments now that he has the experience of when to use them and when not to use them. The Execution Producer doesn't use any of his own medium or heavy weapons or any weapon 360 attacks, and no recruits. Now, I would add 2 kind of asterisks to this limitation. I would personally add recruits into your tool set. I feel like if you're in a huge combat scenario, calling onto your recruits to help you with that combat is incredibly lore accurate and immersive, even if it does make it a little bit easier. And like he said, don't use your own medium or heavy weapons, but the idea of Ezio disarming a guard like a brute or someone who has a long weapon, using it against them is something that you 100% could do and should do because it just falls in line with Ezio's character and the way that he's, for no pun intended, pretty disarming, charming even in combat. If you don't make these limitations for the combat, I recommend you don't upgrade your armor too much because then Ezio becomes too powerful and too good at taking hits. So either impose these limitations and invest in armor upgrades, or don't impose these limitations and don't invest in armor upgrades. That's where I think this different approach can help. If you're someone who finds the combat in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood too easy, or you want to bring back the tension and weight of earlier games, I recommend imposing these limits yourself. Brotherhood systems are surprisingly flexible, and when you strip them down, you start to see new layers that you wouldn't if you just do the easy approaches of counter killing and chain killing. As time goes by, you can also slowly incorporate more and more tools to add depth to the combat. Throwing knives can be charged to throw 2 at once, poison darts silently eliminate guards, smoke bombs allow, as I mentioned, for quick escapes or multi-assassinations, and you can also use parachutes that are a gift from Leonardo to let you glide off of towers and escape combat if a leap of faith isn't feasible, or if you just want to look cool doing it. Use them, but imagine how Etzio would treat precious instruments, not infinite spam. That last line kind of summarizes how I feel about the more overpowered things in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. It's not like you shouldn't use them ever, but rather use them more mindfully as someone realistically would in Ezio's position. And that leads us from parkour to stealth to combat into my favorite part of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and I think the one that sets this playthrough apart so much from Assassin's Creed 2, and that is the Recruitment and Brotherhood. The titular mechanic defines this game after destroying Borgia towers. You will encounter citizens harassed by guards, and if you free them and invite them into your order, they'll become your assassins. At first, I recommend you limit the use of the recruits as they are novices, and Ezio is rediscovering how to lead and be the leader of this Assassin Brotherhood. What I've always liked to do from a role-playing perspective is, once they're novices, run them on 1 or 2 missions or side missions or just throughout the streets, practicing how to kill guards and escape, or help you with some sort of mission, and then I would send them on contracts across Europe to basically give them experience. Send them to Naples, Vienna, Istanbul, so they can gain experience and return with rewards. As they level up, they'll transform from novices into deadly assassins that you can summon, and once they're more leveled up, I recommend taking them in main missions that are more dangerous. Use them sparingly but strategically. Call them to eliminate archers in rooftops before you infiltrate a fortress, or just to help with high-risk assassinations. One thing I recommend is that you keep them alive. Nothing hurts more than playing this game in a lore-accurate way, really role-playing the idea of being a mentor and having these assassins work with you, and then them just dying in like some random skirmish. It's happened to me more times than I can tell you.
It was an honor to fight beside you, my friend.
Also, if you want to go even more into like the nerdy role-playing lore accurate things, you can color code these assassins depending on their rank or on the kind of weapons that they use, or if they favor more investing into armor as they level up or investing into weapons as they level up. It's a fun thing that can kind of visually communicate who you're summoning and what their strengths and weaknesses are going to be. And that kind of leads into your own fashion and equipment. I would recommend that you actually keep the fashion in this game pretty simple. Unlike Assassin's Creed 2, Ezio's canonical outfit through the entire game is just his iconic white and red mentor robes. You see that at the beginning when Desmond tries to spawn in when he's fighting Cesare Borgia. You can see that at the end of the game, which is basically when Ezio fights Cesare, he's still wearing the same assassin outfit. Unlike Assassin's Creed 2, where the canon outfit does become the special armor in the game, which is Altair's armor, the armor of Brutus, the special armor in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, was just kept more as a prize, probably because it's fucking hideous, and Ezio just wears his normal armor all the way through. And that leads us into a few things that you can implement into this playthrough if you're interested and have a PC. On PC, you can enhance the experience with a couple mods that I would recommend, but feel free to look through all of them, especially the popular ones. There are mods like the E3 Rome outfit that restores the colors and textures to Ezio's robes that make them look closer to the promotional footage. Parkour mods are incredibly useful, but again, don't overdo it because some of them really quickly lose the realism. But the parkour mod also allows for a lot of flexibility and control when it comes to parkour up, parkour down, and more complex movements that the base game doesn't give you. And there's also a hood down mod that allows you to basically have Ezio drop his hood and walk in no profile throughout the city, humanizing him during dialogue, during cutscenes, and just through the entire lore accurate session. What I like about Assassin's Creed Brotherhood and making a video like this is that my best recommendation is to lean into all the systems that Brotherhood adds, because they're all relevant to who Ezio is. From Assassin's Creed 2 to AC Brotherhood, you're given more tools, and that reflects how much more skilled and able to use a lot of resources Ezio is. And all I would say is just use them more mindfully and don't spam them too much to make the game too easy. Enjoy this game, and let me know if you have done this, how you felt about trying to roleplay with these recruits, because that's my favorite part of this game, and it does suck when you do lose one. If you want to watch how to play a lore accurate version of Assassin's Creed 2, you can watch this video now.